Hi, I'm Lauren Califano, and this is my audience. Every one of us has been exposed to violence, whether it's watching a television show, the news in particular, or even watching a movie. Now, what about firsthand? What about firsthand in your school or in your college? It could be as little as a fight breaking out in between the classes, in transitioning into your classes, or something as drastic as sitting there eating lunch in the cafeteria and a gunshot rings out, and immediately you're thrown into chaos. School violence affects everyone, not just students, not just parents. It affects everyone across the board, every day, everywhere. According to the CDC, which is the Center for Disease and Prevention, they did a study of the 2005 to 2006 school year and found that 38% of the schools in the U.S. have reported a violent act to the police, not just within their school, actually went as far as had to taking it to the police. Today, I would like to go over some contributing factors to school violence, and those are, but not limited to, individual characteristics, relationships, and also community influences. The first one I would like to go over is the individual characteristics. Individual characteristics can be anywhere from, but not limited to, again, social rejection by their peers, psychological problems, and even learning disorders. Social rejection by their peers can be as far as not getting into the in crowd or the popular crowd, or you have a close-knit type of friends and all of a sudden they don't want to be friends with you anymore. That can make the student develop a hatred towards their peers and can also spiral into a desire to gain revenge on them for not being in that clique, per se. According to Alfred University, they did a study and a questionnaire from students in the U.S., and one of the questions they asked them was, what do you think is the reason students act out violently? What do you think is the main reason? And 87% of the kids came back and said that the reason they think kids would act out is to get back at someone who has bullied them or hurt them. And that goes to show right there that is a big, big reason. If it's pretty much more than half, more than 75%. One of the second things is the psychological problems, depression being a big one, and we see this in adults, in preteens, teens, adolescents. This depression makes them have low confidence, low self-esteem, and eventually they have no value for life, no value for their own life, and definitely no value for any of the other students' lives. Learning disorders, not in every case, but in some cases, learning disorders can become a prime target for bullying, for name-calling, making fun of. Maybe that child reads a little bit slower than the other kids in the class, and they're doing out-loud reading, and there's a snicker in the back of the room. Or they're having problems getting a math problem. They're not up to speed with everything. It's frustrating for the child because it's something they can't help. It's something they can't control. But it makes it even more frustrating when they have their peers who they see for 8 hours a day making fun of them, and that constant name calling and bullying. All according to the CDC, they did a study, that 160,000 students will go home early every day in the U.S. for fear of being bullied. And that's one too many. Now that we looked at the individual characteristics, I like to look at relationships. Relationships can be anywhere from little to no parent involvement to poor communication. A lot of parents, both of them have to work to make ends meet. And there's a lot more single-family homes as well as the divorce rate goes up. And that leaves the children with less discipline in most cases, not all cases, in most cases less discipline and a lot of unsupervised time. The less discipline is not going to teach or guide the child how to act, in positively and negative situations. And also, they have the and they also feel neglected, so they feel like they need attention from somewhere. Poor communication also comes out as far as they need to know who their children are hanging with, that they have the same values as well. They need to know if they've broken up with a girlfriend or a boyfriend so they can talk to them about the feelings and not have them express them violently. Also, now we looked at the relationship factor, I like to look at the community influences, which would be gangs and low income, living in low income areas. Gangs, they zone schools by their neighborhoods and communities, and that gang tension spills into these schools because they don't have anywhere to go. They can't go to their room, they can't go home, they're stuck in the same classroom. Also, low income areas because a lot of them are living in apartments, multiple families in one apartment, high rises, and the more enrollment that they have in one school, the more discipline problems that are apt to happen. So, in conclusion, no sole factor will contribute to the violence, and there's no exact preventative measure that anybody can take. But I'm hoping to give you some guidelines to what to look for, be on the alert. And it's kind of hard in that way too because Alfred University did a study and they asked students what teachers could do to offset violence, and one student came back with the quote that there isn't a lot they could do since they can't even stop someone from wearing a hat when they aren't supposed to. So I would like you to take from this speech kind of, have I talked to my child this week? Maybe how he's feeling, because you don't want to end up being the person that says, I wish I would have. Thank you for your time.